We are the Lab Doctors. I'm Amanda.
I'm Dorothy.
And I'm Zhao Yong.
We are biomedical researchers who realized we still have a lot to learn about science.
So why not join us on this quest?
Everyone, welcome back to the Lab Doctors podcast. So this week we're going to be talking about empathy. So I chose this because I recently attended a workshop about nurturing empathy in healthcare.
I'm so tired. There's no empathy for this topic.
Yes.
Okay, so traditionally you would think a medical degree is all about getting the head knowledge, right? But now there's a shift to also cultivate empathy. This is because empathy and humanistic care is associated with a lot of benefits, including reduced readmissions, reduced length of stay, and improved clinical outcome, amongst other things.
Yeah, I thought being a doctor is being empathicious.
Empathetic.
I guess like compared to many years ago, like when you see a doctor, they might just not really care about you. You just be like faster, like discharged. But nowadays it's more
patient-centered care, I would say.
But it's not that it's not important from the start.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it's just something that they consciously want to cultivate, which is something that I found interesting. Because like you said, I would think that it's a baseline thing that you should have.
Yeah.
But anyway, it got me thinking, can you nurture empathy or is it innate? What do y'all think?
Nah, it's just both, I think.
I don't think you can nurture empathy.
So you think we're all born either with a lot of empathy or with no empathy?
No, there's a spectrum of empathy.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say if a spectrum is from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
We're using Celsius here, we're not using Fahrenheit.
As it should be.
I hate the Fahrenheit. Anyway, so let's say I was born with 40.
Okay.
Maybe my nurturing can push me to like 45, 50, but it will never push me to 100.
Yeah, I think fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's both lah.
But you're saying genes just matter more.
Yeah, I'm saying your set point, your initial set point will determine your range versus nurturing, which can push you a bit, but maybe not.
Okay, I
all the
agree
way.
with Zhao Yong.
Okay, so before we get into that, let's talk a bit about the types of empathy. So there are three main ones that I'll go through.
Okay.
Because I always thought empathy is just empathy, you know, like you just feel for someone else.
Right.
So the first one is affective empathy. So it involves the ability to understand another person's emotions and respond appropriately. Then there's cognitive empathy, which involves being able to understand another person's mental state and what they might be thinking in response to the situation. So affective is the one where you feel what someone else is feeling, whereas cognitive is you have the ability to understand where they are coming from. Yeah, and what they might be thinking in response to a situation. And the third one is somatic empathy, which involves having a sort of physical reaction in response to what someone else is experiencing. So say someone else is embarrassed, then your stomach starts to feel uneasy. So that's somatic empathy, which is something that I've never heard of.
I thought it was like sympathy pain. So if you see someone going through pain, you, as in like physical
you also feel pain.
You also feel the pain.
I was thinking more towards crying, like if someone else's family member died, I would feel sad as well. Like, and then if the person's crying in front of me, I'll start crying also. I guess.
A bit of that, I guess.
But
I guess somatic empathy would be a bit more like involuntary. Like, is crying involuntary?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, because like I feel like
for sure for me.
You can't, I mean, unless you're a very good actor and then you can choose when you want to cry.
Oh, okay, true. Okay, so there's two main papers that I want to discuss today. So the first is a study of twins. Because,
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I am. Anyway, so the first study is of twins where they explore whether empathy comes from nature or nurture. So before this twin study, estimates of heritability of empathy range from 0 to 70%, which is not very helpful because that's a very big range.
I was like,
Yeah, so there were low estimates of heritability in very young children, but it varied with age. And in adults, because it's mostly self-reporting where the participants report their own empathy levels, the estimates of heritability was 28 to 72%. So it's still a very wide range. So it's something that like scientists can't really agree on. So which brings us to this study by Martin Melchers and Elizabeth Han, where they combine self-report surveys with results from a behavioral empathy test. So here they looked at two subcomponents of empathy. So affective empathy, so being able to feel what someone else is feeling, and cognitive empathy, so the ability to understand another person's feelings and reasonings. So this study, there were 742 twins and non-twin siblings. Yeah, quite a lot. 742.
Wait, 742 twins, so there's 1,400
No. I think
people?
it's like population size is 742. Yeah, comprising of twins and non-twin siblings. So the idea here is to compare the results between identical twins who are genetically identical versus fraternal twins or sibling pairs who are like somewhat identical. You know? Okay, so besides the self-report questionnaire, participants were given an emotional recognition task. So it's called reading in the mind's eyes test, which I got everyone to do because I found a free test online. Yeah, but basically they give you 37 pictures of people's eyes and you're supposed to match the emotions. But there are a few caveats. I don't know if you read the last page when you finally get your results. They say things like lighting, mood, fatigue, and many other factors could affect your score.
Yep.
Including whether you are a native speaker. Because honestly, some of the words are quite complex.
I had to Google some of the words.
Yeah. Okay, so it has no bearing, but I was just curious. So I did it. And what do y'all think of that? Like, was it easy? Was it hard?
I just remember there was one picture where I was like, it's not all of the 4 options.
Same. I had so many times where it was that experience, and then after that I got like 22 and I'm like, oh, is this a sign of me being autistic?
But it was actually developed by Professor Simon Baron-Cohen, who is like one of the authors in the second paper that we'll talk about, for their research on autism. So adults with Asperger's or high functioning autism scored 22 on average.
Yeah.
So are we going to review our scores now?
Yeah,
I got
please
22.
do.
I don't know about you.
I would like to say I got higher. I got 28.
Oh, so the average score is 26.
What do you get?
And I got 33.
What? Clearly,
But I don't know.
On another
I don't know like how this factors in. Like, does it mean you have more empathy? Like, I was trying to understand from the paper, and I'm like, is seeing people's eyes really something that means that you are like a higher level of empathy?
Well,
Which is why I was like quite interested to see what y'all think about it also.
Yeah, it's funny that the test didn't conclude it properly for me.
as in, for me, it shows me that you can identify a person's emotions, but that doesn't mean that you can empathize with it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking also. You could just be like perceptive.
Yeah.
But how did your thought process go through when you do the test?
Oh, I did it like quite quickly. I just always, what's the first thing that comes to my mind? And then I see whether there's a word that matches. And if it doesn't, then only I'll look at the options.
Because Amanda said she took 10 minutes, so I took 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was like I was trying to do it like super fast.
I did it like less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, me also. I think there's a point though. It's supposed to be on instinct. Like, what's your first reaction?
A lot of it just looked very blank to me, which
I would like mimic the expression. I was on the train. I'll be like, is this like angry or angry is not one of the options, but like, is it? Yeah, I would be mimicking it. So I guess, it helped.
But I wanted y'all to do it because a lot of these papers on empathy, they use self-reporting questionnaires.
Yeah.
Which is like, some of the questions is basically like, how empathetic are you? And then you choose like 1 to 5, you know? And I'm like, how accurate is that?
Yeah.
But then like this paper, they also use this called reading the mind in the eyes test, which I'm like, so is it better? But
as in, I still think it's better. Being able to identify a person's emotions is probably one of the factors to show whether or not you're an empathetic person. But I feel like it's not the thing that determines whether or not you are empathetic.
So if you're just going to like match high empathy or low empathy based on your score, I feel like that's not
I
very
don't think
fair.
that's accurate.
So
Yeah, that's just reading people's emotions.
Yeah, you can identify doesn't mean you care or you are able to feel that emotion.
or understand what they're thinking. Anyways, Melcher and colleagues estimate that affective empathy, so that's feeling what someone else is feeling, is between 52 to 57% heritable. So that's quite high, I feel.
Oh, that makes sense.
Whereas cognitive empathy, so being able to understand what someone else is thinking or feeling, is less determined by genetics, so about 27% heritable. And it's presumably more influenced by the environment and learning experiences.
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay, so the second paper is actually an even bigger population size. So there are actually 46,871 participants in this study.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was conducted by researchers in the UK and France. So one of them being the Professor Simon Baron-Cohen. So the one that developed the test that we talked about just now. So it's a genome-wide analysis of self-reported empathy, and they go through correlations with autism, schizophrenia, and anorexia. But we'll only be talking about like the main findings.
Okay.
So basically all 46,871 participants in this study did the 23andMe test. So do you all remember 23andMe?
DNA, right?
Yes.
Huh?
Like you do it's a DNA test.
Yeah, there was a point where a lot of like
People-
influencers and YouTubers were doing it to find out about their
Heritage.
Yeah.
And
As in it's
ancestry.
a blood test.
No.
Huh?
Okay.
It's a DNA test.
Like a survey?
No, you like spit into a tube
Oh,
and then
okay, you spin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you spit into a tube, you send it to the lab, and then they give you all your results. So the lab processes the DNA and reads hundreds of thousands of variants in your genomes.
Right.
So then this study also measured empathy via a self-reported questionnaire known as the empathy quotient. So this is one of those questionnaires where they ask you like a lot of questions, but basically it's how empathetic are you 1 to 5. So the study found that 10% of the variation in empathy between people is due to genes, but they haven't exactly figured out which genes are responsible for empathy.
I wonder how they get that number if they cannot identify the gene, like as in...
Yeah, probably math. You just did some math. I feel
A
like
lot
it's
of math, yeah. Because they're looking at SNPs, which are single nucleotide polymorphisms. So it's not really like looking at your genes per se. That's why I think it's hard to actually identify which genes are responsible, because you're looking at SNPs, which is what are different between people.
Oh yes, you're looking at the variation. You're not looking at the...
So you're not looking at like
what's
the...
similar.
Yeah. So that's one of the future directions in this study. They want to like gather more samples so that they can either replicate these findings and pinpoint the precise biological pathways involved.
Right.
Okay, so the second key finding was that women tend to be more empathetic than men.
Woohoo!
Okay.
But this is not due to genes. So the researchers could not find empathy-related genetic differences between the two sexes. So they proposed that these differences could be due to other cultural factors like socialization and education, or non-genetic biological factors such as hormonal influences. So this is their like hypothesis so far. The finding here is that they could not find empathy-related genetic differences. And the last key finding is that they identified several genetic variants associated with lower empathy that are also associated with higher risk for autism. Okay, so basically those are the two studies that I found the most interesting / easy to explain / understand, because I actually found a review that was talking about how empathy is not in our genes, and basically like all of empathy is like learning how to read social context and like situation and like match it. So does this change anything? Because you said it's mostly...
If anything, it still tells me it's in your genes.
Is it though? But it's like 10%. I mean, it's 10% due to genes. So like I feel like...
The variation is 10% due to genes. But it doesn't tell you what's your baseline.
Yeah, true.
And if there's a correlation between autism and lower empathy, then there is a genetic element to empathy.
Yeah, which brought me back to the whole start of this episode, which is, can you nurture empathy? Is there even a point to try? Because a lot of like medical curriculum are like trying to incorporate this. Some people argue that it's even more important than like some of the biomedical sciences that they learn, or like maybe you can cut out some of that content to like put in the empathy. Whereas like cultivating empathy used to be part of the hidden curriculum. So it's the thing that like you do while you're going on your rounds or like shadowing like doctors and stuff. Whereas now they want to make it like actual part of like the curriculum itself.
The way I see it, it's like a customer service person on a script.
Okay.
Like by making this whole process so manufactured, how do I know when something is genuine or when something is sincere versus a person that is just naturally a caring person and hence a naturally caring doctor?
But as a patient, you don't need to care if it's genuine or not, because from the receiving end, I just need to feel like this doctor empathizes with me.
I don't know. Yeah, so the weird thing about me is even though I can't tell people's emotion, I can tell when they're being sincere or not. So like most of the time I'm like, yeah, you can stop with the fake niceties because I know this is not genuine. So
Most people can't though. I just find it so interesting that people are doing these
I can
studies.
tell when people are lying. I'm a human lie detector.
I was just thinking at the start of the episode, like, why are they studying all these qualitative studies? It's like so difficult to...
Yeah, it's quite difficult to give a number to it.
And it just sounds like it's so that they can decide, like, should I put this in the curriculum or not? Because there will be people who will be like, yeah, it confirm work. And then there will be people who are like, no, it confirm don't work. So they have to justify. And therefore they have to do these large scale studies. And they have to create jobs.
But I feel like they're contributing more to science than I am. So
It depends on what type of science you're talking about. But okay, going back to the topic, I feel like if it is nurturable, even if it's like what I said, maybe 5%, it's better than nothing, I guess. It's
But
better
do they
than
need to change the curriculum? I guess like 1 or 2 lessons.
oh yeah, it will be like, so I think maybe what people think is that you'll be sitting in lectures and like listening to someone talk about empathy, but it's more of like you go for like these sessions where you look at art or read a poem or like read a story and then like talk about how you feel, and then like they have a writing prompt where you like they give you like a few words and then you write about it and then you like talk about your feelings about it, and like that's mostly what the sessions are. It's not really like lectures where you just sit there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I find it's quite like it kind of teaches you how to tap into your own emotions and also like how to respond to other people's emotions, which I found very helpful actually. Like I really enjoyed the workshop, which is why I keep thinking about it. I guess I just wanted to like see what other people think about it.
I think, again, if you are voluntarily signing up for these kind of things, then you're going in with a different mindset.
Yeah, because I did voluntarily sign up for this workshop. If you were forced.
If you are a medicine student and you're like, I need to study for a whole bunch of other things, and then now I need to put this into my schedule, so I don't know how beneficial it is.
And sometimes doctors are just so busy, like they don't have time to empathize with a person. They have to just like, my objective is just to treat you. And if I can't, then I don't know.
I guess the argument is that like it will improve your patient outcome as well, and like maybe it will help you in the long run.
I thought it would be more like for nurses and social workers in the hospitals.
I feel like it's necessary for doctors also.
Yeah, actually, I feel like even more so because sometimes they may be a bit disconnected.
Yeah, but I feel like it sends a message. So like having this in your course curriculum signals to everyone, whether or not you are in the course, whether or not you're a prospective student, like it kind of signals the importance of this empathy and like might trigger certain like action. I mean benefits and cons, but I still think most of it is innate.
Okay. I think I'm too idealistic sometimes. I just think that the world can't hurt with more empathy. So
For sure.
yeah, I feel like it's a step in a good direction. But then like, I'm just me and my thoughts are just mine. It doesn't mean like I know what's right. So
Oh, if the world has more empathy, it would. So as a jaded person, I'm like, yeah, but if the world has more empathy, it would be better.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
okay. I'm glad we agree.
And as usual, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify. A like and a comment would really help us out. Please rate us. Anything you want, wherever you're listening.
You can also follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, and feel free to DM us any questions.
Alternatively, you can email us at thelabdoctors@gmail.com. We'll post all the article links in the episode description as well as the quiz if you want to do it as well. Thank you.
Bye.